Welcome back, everybody, to the Home Turf Podcast. It's me, Hunter Mitchell, here, joined once again by my co-host, Cade Harris.
What's going on? How we doing today?
A very special guest, former sports editor for the Battalion, former host of the Home Turf Podcast, the one and only G-Money himself, Grant Gaspard.
What's up? What's going on? Feels good to be back. How y'all doing, man?
Man, we're doing good. A lot better now that you're gone. I'm playing. Now, in all seriousness, we do miss you, Grant. But, your guidance has helped us carry on this podcast. And, we're excited to have you back.
I appreciate that. I can't tell y'all how excited I was today. Now, I'm not going to lie. I had, there's a lot, when y'all told me earlier this week, I was super excited. My birthday's tomorrow.
No way.
What? I don't care about my birthday. I was like, I got a podcast Wednesday night.
Let's
Get to go back in the old bat cave. It's still hot in here. And I don't know why I decided to wear sweatpants and a hoodie. It's brutal. I'm toasty. My feet are getting a little clammy. But you know what? I'm freaking ready. I'm ready to talk sports.
Let's get it.
Man.
And what a good couple episodes to get into, especially our Week 4 power rankings.
Man.
What a absolutely insane week.
Yeah.
Of SEC football.
And I just think it's going to get even more crazy.
It's
with all the conference games coming up. We haven't even gotten really into conference play. There were 3 conference games last week, and that's all there's been. But now that we're into almost to the thick of it, this stuff's going to start shifting like crazy.
Yeah, if
it hasn't been already.
Yeah, from our Week 1 to our now has gone absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
So Grant, you kind of get a little lucky. You get a fresh start.
Yeah.
All of our sins are laid out on the table from weeks prior, and I gotta say, oof, man, we've had some cold takes.
Yeah.
All right, let me hear one of them, man. What's one of the takes y'all had?
So let's start. Let's start. What we usually do. SEC East.
We can start out with the East. I'll give you a cold take of mine from that one. You called me out on it our first pod because I put Missouri at 7 at the very first week.
Before, I remember hearing that one.
before
I was
play
hoping
had
you'd bring
started.
that up. That's why I asked.
See,
Yeah.
I escaped ridicule a little bit, but it's not like I didn't put Missouri at my 6. So it's not like
Yeah.
I wasn't down on them too.
True.
Yeah, I mean, how much have they moved for
Do
y'all?
you, Hunter?
Let's see.
Well, no, not
Let's
in
start-
the
let's
second.
start our se- so let's hear.
So let's start out with
Let-
Vanderbilt. Let's talk about that.
I think South Carolina looks bad. I know they scored 14 against
Worse than
Georgia.
Vanderbilt bad?
I think in last week's power rankings, I don't know. I know Vanderbilt didn't look great, but I don't know. I may just be anti-Gamecock bias. I think this is another 7A, 7B situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. South Carolina's just not doing it for me. I think it may be as well my expectations for them going into. I think I had them in my week 1. I think I had them 3. I think I had them 3 in front of Kentucky at 4.
I had them. I had them at 4.
Yeah. You know what? I'll let you change me a little bit. I'll roll Vanderbilt. I'm okay with that. But I think South Carolina is in serious trouble to be in that 6th spot. Vanderbilt is kind of been Vanderbilt. Will Shepard keeps getting me fantasy points, but that's about it.
Y'all's jaw is going to drop then when y'all hear mine. But go on.
You're number 6.
No, yeah. Number 7, obviously Vanderbilt,
Right.
but how y'all are talking about South Carolina just appalls me.
Yeah. Well, I got them in my 6.
Yeah, Vanderbilt losing to UNLV. Not gonna lie, I kind of forgot Vanderbilt. So
They lost to Wake Forest and UNLV.
Yeah,
in the
so
past
you know
couple
what?
weeks.
Yeah, Vanderbilt number 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get that out of the way.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, I got South Carolina in my 6 though.
Yeah,
I think that
I'll take that too.
I mean, yeah, they kept it close with Georgia, but
They
just don't look good.
They don't look like the team we were expecting.
No.
And I mean, again, we were hot on the fact that South Carolina's offensive line is bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like terracotta soldiers out there. They're stationary and fragile. They are.
Rattler has no time.
No.
And for what he's doing with that offensive line he has is real impressive and noteworthy.
I agree.
I think he's doing his best job with a bunch of Cade Harrises out there on that offensive
What's
line.
that supposed to mean?
Dang.
I don't know. If you were blocking for me, I'd be horrified against some big SEC defensive linemen.
That feels like that.
But that's like
I'd never be blocking for you because you just be giving me water after I come back to the sideline.
Whoa. That feels like it was intended to be an insult, but I feel like any regular human being trying to block an SEC defensive lineman is
No, I'd get ran over. So don't take any of us in here.
Yeah,
would.
South Carolina's defense, 24 against Georgia, but I think Georgia's offense has not been what it has been in the past.
No.
They, again, have just looked very lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not enough for the 7. I completely Vanderbilt's so Vanderbilt for me. I kind of just forgot about him.
Like Vanderbilt shouldn't even be, their name shouldn't even be in the rankings. They
Yeah,
should just be
Hey,
like
we just
hey,
might start phasing them out.
They get
Relegate.
they get the SEC's academic rating up. So that's what we keep before that in baseball.
yeah.
So who's in your 6, Grant?
Tennessee.
Whoa!
Tennessee. I watched three. I watched 3 very, very unimpressive games at the start of their season. Barely scraped by Virginia. It took a while for them to get going until about the third or fourth quarter. They played a bunch of mediocre teams, and they got blown out by a Florida team who totally forgot to play football. They don't even look like a football team.
They were.
To be honest with you, I watched them against Utah. Had 13 people on the field for a kickoff. Constant false starts. Didn't even know how to play. Didn't even know that from coaching to playing, it was just horrible. Went into Florida and got demolished. Joe Milton's been hyped up about being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And to be honest with you, I think he has quite a bit in arm, but he has no help at the receiver position. And everyone's kind of pointing at this A&M and Tennessee game later in the week, and I'll get to that later, but it's not going to be as impressive a game as y'all think.
Yeah. No, I can definitely agree with that. I mean, their game against Austin P was just awful.
It was awful.
And then, yeah, like you said, just go out there and, I mean, the Florida game, they were getting pieced
what's
up.
one thing about them that impresses y'all?
I mean, nothing so far.
I think Joe Milton. I mean, the fact Joe Milton's arm is a gift from God, but his receivers are
dropping a lot. Yeah,
not. God gifted. God took his time on Joe Milton's arm and skipped over his receiving core. Seriously,
man, that sucks because I had Brew McCoy on my bench.
Ooh,
I already cut him. I cut him like 2 weeks ago. Don't worry about it.
What's that other receiver they got?
Squirrel White.
Squirrel. He's probably the next best, but his hands aren't even that good. I mean, he's quick, he's fast, but dude.
Man.
Coming in swinging.
Well, I mean, I have them in my 5.
Are they? Is that your number 5?
Tennessee's in my 5.
I mean,
yeah. I just don't think
that's not that much of a drop, but I had to give Missouri. Let's go. I had to give the Missouri the favor the next one because they beat a talented Kansas
The
State
5
team.
spot was probably my hardest.
Yeah.
Spot. I struggled heavily with this because the East, in my opinion, is
I've changed my East up like multiple times during the day-to-day. Like I just didn't know what to do. I knew who I wanted at my top and my bottom, but in between 1 and 7, I had no clue.
Yeah, it's a weird division.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, SEC as a whole right now.
Who's in your 5?
Wait, so who's y'all 6 and 7? Well, don't even talk about 7. Who's y'all 6s?
South Carolina.
South Carolina for both of y'all?
Yeah, and then my 5. Man. Struggle with this between the two, and I'd probably go with Tennessee as well if we're going week by week basis. Yeah. That's why I struggle with the most. Because Florida's in my 7 last week.
Yeah.
So I really thought, bumping up 2 against Tennessee, but at the end of the day, the one loss was a road loss against. Now, I agree, and I've said this repeatedly. That loss to Utah was worse than it looks on paper.
Way worse.
A lot worse than it looks on paper. Mm-hmm. But Grant Mertz has stepped into a better role. I still want to see him against like an Alabama or Georgia. I want to see him against top tier competition.
I listened to y'all's last podcast. I don't think y'all underrated Florida at all. I think where y'all had at Florida at the past couple weeks is good. I just think y'all overrated Tennessee.
That's
all I thought. But because like Florida, they look like dog doo-doo. Now they had, like what Hunter said, they have gone better. Graham Mertz has gotten more comfortable. But again, how good is Tennessee?
I feel like the run game has also stepped up a little bit more. Like that's something that we talked about earlier. The like week 0 before, like the run game was something to worry about, and I feel like ETN and that crew has stepped up pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Florida's D-line's nasty too.
No,
they're crazy.
That's something we highlighted.
Crazy fast and athletic.
That's something we highlighted in our week 1 was that Florida's D-line looked really strong, but questions on that O-line. But I mean, they seem to show out. So now, getting into that, keep going on that gauntlet of the East in that 4 spot. Who do y'all have?
Flo Rida.
Wait, so who'd y'all take for the 5?
Oh, I put Tennessee.
Y'all put Tennessee in Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Florida in my 4 though. I think
I took Florida.
I mean, I couldn't put them under Tennessee, obviously, since.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You had Florida in your 5.
Yeah,
that's fair. That was if I didn't put Tennessee there, that was who I was going to put in that spot.
Yeah.
So for 4, y'all going on. That's where y'all have.
Yeah, that's where I got Florida.
Okay. Yeah, me as well. Yeah. I feel like, Gotta give them credit where it's due. Like we talked about. I mean, Grant Mertz has stepped up. Utah was a bad loss, but they've looked better since then. I mean, Tennessee game. I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what Tennessee is at this season, they are still an SEC school.
Yeah.
Like and not a bad one either.
So you just tell they lost a lot of pieces last year.
Yeah, which kind of everyone knew about, but but there was a lot of pieces that got really hyped up that may not have deserved as much, but I still think they're a really quality team. So I think that what Florida did to them after their week 1 is pretty impressive. So I'll move them up. I'll move them. That's a big move from 7 to 4. That's
a big jump.
That's a pretty big
100%.
jump.
You're gonna be seeing
I had
jumps
them
like
at
that.
6.
From here on until that LSU A&M game. You're
And
gonna be
honestly,
seeing jumps
they could
everywhere.
fall back down at the end of the season. You have no idea
Yeah.
what's gonna go on. Like it's all a crapshoot right now.
Yeah. And so then who's your 4?
My 4, Missouri.
Okay.
I haven't said a name yet. I haven't said a team yet, and I'll talk about them. But Missouri's against Kansas State. Their defense looks one of the top defenses in the SEC. Their defense is flying around, dude. They got some dogs on that team, and they had that quarterback.
That's why I was high on Missouri in our week 1 because they returned a buttload of production from their defense.
Yeah.
And that's something that and from a good defense too.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't production from a mediocre defense. Like they returned one of arguably the top defenses in the country.
Yeah.
Brought it back out there. And they've been running it back. And so that's what really stands out to me about Missouri. And I think even with their quarterback situation, unquote, even though Brady Cook looked really good against Kansas State.
Did you hear they were booing him?
They did.
I loved Eli's comment about that whole thing.
Their
Just
coach's comment?
Yeah. Boo me, not him, which I totally agree with.
I was like, dude, why they boo? This he played a great game.
He did.
He ran, he looked like a good running quarterback, man.
Yeah.
Flying around.
Yeah,
really
the Man-Eater Missouri student paper did a pretty good game coverage over that and talked about that as well as including the thicker kickers game winner.
Dude, I like that story too because
short
last year he missed that chip shot field goal against Auburn, I think, to tie the game and send it to overtime. And, like, he got so much ridicule for that. And then he goes out there and makes the longest field goal in SEC history. Like, I just like that kind of redemption story for him.
Yeah. I feel like he hasn't been talked enough.
Definitely not.
That kid,
because Deion Sanders is hogging everything.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to do anything now with Deion Sanders in the media. But that's just who he is, man. But that's where I took Missouri right there. I took them at 4. Just because I love their defense. I thought the quarterback looked great. And again, like I heard y'all's podcast earlier, and you talking about the defense, and I agree with you. But I was also thinking, let's see them play Kansas State.
Yeah.
Let's see them play Jet Howard. Let's see how they do against them, and they did a great job. So that's why I have them so high at 4.
So, Cade, who's in your 3 spot?
Kentucky.
Ooh.
Yeah. They just haven't really. They've taken care of business, but they haven't done enough for me. Like, I mean, you can't judge them. Their 3 opponents have been Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, and Akron. You can't really take anything away from that.
Yeah.
And the games have been, I mean, they beat Eastern Kentucky 28-17. And then they scored 35 on Akron.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I was expecting a little bit more from Devin Leary. And I know I'm ridiculing them, yet I have them in my 3 spot.
Yeah.
But I think that's just what is holding me back from putting them in my 2 slot. It's just they haven't really done anything for me yet.
Yeah.
We'll see how I mean, they play Vanderbilt this weekend, so obviously that's probably not another good one you can judge.
Good one to
but then
judge.
Florida the following week and then Georgia, we'll probably start to get a little better of a read on Kentucky.
Yeah, after that Georgia game, I think is where even that Florida game.
Yeah,
is where we get a
possibly.
read.
That should be a fun one.
So Grant, where is your?
This is where I finally have South Carolina.
Okay.
Now I thought. So yes, offensive line issues struggled. Now I made these rankings based off who has the most likely chance to beat Georgia.
Okay.
Because Georgia's winning the East, no question. And you'll see why I have this guy as my number 2. Florida doesn't have a chance. Tennessee doesn't have a chance. Missouri doesn't. Just down the list. South Carolina, I felt like put up a really good fight though against. The first half was a really good game.
Close. It was close.
He put up a good game, even though his O-line was awful. I love South Carolina's culture. I love their energy. They're a bunch of dogs, something that A&M lacked against Miami because they put up 33, lost 33-48, close game the majority of the time. But if you're watching, no scoreboard, it didn't look like that.
Yeah.
But South Carolina, that's the kind of energy they bring. They go out there, they hit you in the throat, and they kept up with a solid defense. And I like Rattler. I'm high on Rattler. Y'all know I love Shane Beamer. I love that coach. I think they're better than Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, Vanderbilt, and have almost beat Georgia. So that's why I have them at 3.
Wow.
That
is a take to put a 1-2 team that high, who has one.
Hey, but they played a Drake May North Carolina team. If
true.
Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, Vanderbilt played the 3 same teams, they all be 1-2, maybe 0-3. They played a talented Mac Brown, Drake May, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I mean, it was first game jitters, man. They overcame.
It's just really hard to disagree with you on a lot of this stuff. Like I said, in between 1 and 7, it's all just jumbled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I could agree with you. Like I could.
But let's say if Florida played UNC, who would win? Who do y'all got?
Oh, I would take North Carolina.
Yeah.
Tennessee, Missouri,
Right now, I'd take North
Vanderbilt.
Carolina. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
There's no
I mean,
doubt.
they did get smacked. They did, but I'm not. It's the same thing with Florida against Utah. They played. I mean, it's just first game jitters. They were coming in. I don't know what happened. They poo-pooed themselves, but they put up a good fight against Georgia. Like I said, my rankings are based off who has the best chance to beat Georgia, and none of them do. But if anyone are closer, I have South Carolina at 3.
Yeah, I'm with Cade here. I got Kentucky at my 3. Mm-hmm. Kentucky's been up in my rankings. I think I had them at 4 to start, and they've moved. I mean, after 3 weeks, they've moved up 1, and that's less because of what they've done and more because of what's happened at the top.
I think for me, Kentucky has consistently stayed at that 3 spot. Like I don't think I've moved them.
But that's so Kentucky football, though. Yeah. Kentucky football is so like we are gonna make a bowl game, and that is it.
Take that back. I had them in the 4s. I had South Carolina at 3 last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll get you 5 wins.
Oh,
they will.
They'll get you 8
wins. They'll have 1 or 2 guys that get drafted. You know, they have some talent at the running back position usually. Devin Leary, I mean, NC State transfer. I like him a lot. That's probably also why I have him.
They'll get you a Gator Bowl. They'll get you an Outback Bowl win. That's what you got with Kentucky.
Yeah.
So then I assume Cade and I, we both have
Missouri.
Yeah, we get the Missouri Tigers in our 2 spot. I mean, respect to Mizzou.
I feel like looking at all these teams below them, they have the most significant win.
Yeah.
That's why I have them in my 2
and that's
slot.
why I had Ole Miss my 1 last week because they had like the 1 ranked win.
Hey, Missouri gave Georgia trouble last year. Huh?
Is it true? I remember watching that game on TV.
Where's that game at this year? Is it in Georgia or?
Yeah, because they played at Missouri last year.
Yeah, it's in Georgia.
Not that Missouri's much of a home field advantage anyways, but you still rather play at Missouri than have to go fight them in Georgia.
Yeah.
Hey, don't disrespect the Big Rock M.
Oh, come on, no. That's still a Big 12 stadium.
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, Missouri, we talked about their defense looks really solid. Brady Cook, I still think, needs to emerge a little bit more, but he really did step up against Kansas State, against a pretty solid K-State defense. Mm-hmm. They just have to keep doing what they're doing, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I was low on Missouri because they barely scraped by Middle Tennessee, and then they go out and beat Kansas State. So I mean, you almost have to look at it like if you win, you win. You know, like sometimes that's just really how it is. Because, you know, I would have had them 6 or 7 because of Middle Tennessee State, but then they go out and they beat Kansas State, and I got them in my 2 spot.
College football is weird.
College
sports.
And I think it's getting
weird,
even weirder with the transfer portal and like the way rosters, like that the parity. Is like rosters are so much different than they would be, you know, back before the portal.
College sports is crazy. Wait till we do this with college basketball.
Holy cow.
That's gonna be absolutely nuts.
Wild.
So that's gonna be very up and down. I mean, A&M would have been in my 7 after their non-conference, and then they would probably been up to my 1 or something. Or my 2.
Your 2 spot is
Kentucky.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's reasonable.
Yeah, I'm high on Larry.
He's proven to be a really, really good quarterback.
Yeah.
So.
I think so. When do they play Kentucky, Georgia? They
play
down the
3 weeks.
Sorry, I have their schedule put up right here. So
they
play on
Florida,
October
Georgia.
7th.
Same weekend as Bama and A&M.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
holy
a
cow.
good one.
Upset is in the air, man.
Man, would
Upset
that be an
is
upset if
nowhere.
A&M beat
And
Bama?
that's like, but to be real, like,
Yeah.
I don't think any of them can beat Georgia, but I think Kentucky
No.
has the
Okay,
best
so then
chance.
weekend 1, 2.
Wait, where's that? Where's that at?
Where's what at?
That game.
Oh, that game's at. I'm pretty sure it's in Georgia. Yeah, it's in
That's
Georgia,
tough. All right, so then we can
Georgia got the easiest schedule.
dude.
Go.
For real.
we can for the East we'll do 1,
1,
2,
2,
3
3,
Georgia.
Georgia.
Okay, all right, it's the
Yeah.
Georgia. It's
Georgia
the Georgia Bulldogs.
Bulldogs.
They've got they've quarterback plays their defense amazing. They've got Brock Bowers. Man, we can talk.
It's so frustrating how they're just gonna make the SEC championship by default. Every team in the SEC East that could possibly beat them, they have on their home turf. It's just
It's tough.
it's frustrating.
It's to be devil's advocate for Georgia, they had Oklahoma scheduled, and then the SEC told them no.
Yeah.
So, still not. It's still.
I can't blame them for their schedule. I can't, but
Yeah, well, you kind of can, but
okay. I mean,
you kind of can.
what do y'all think about that quarterback though over there at Georgia?
Definitely not Stetson Bennett
I
for
think he's a
sure.
little ugly looking.
Oh wow,
Sorry.
Wow.
I
that
probably
was
shouldn't
a
have said that.
that was a cold man. That came out of left field.
Yeah,
that was
sorry.
a sucker punch out of nowhere,
Yeah, their hardest road trip is in Knoxville.
which is now looking like less
They're
and
in
less.
Knoxville, at Vanderbilt, and they're at Auburn.
Hey man, don't disrespect the half-built Vanderbilt Stadium, man.
They play Ole Miss though.
They play Ole Miss in Georgia.
Oh man,
Man,
I mean, that's still
actually
gonna be
matchup.
a good matchup.
we talked.
though.
Well, we talked.
Shoot,
Remember
could
that's
be
what
an SEC championship matchup.
That's what I said about Georgia at the beginning of the season. This is a truly Kirby Smart could not have drawn a perfect storm. New quarterback is starting. You're rebuilding some pieces on your defense, your stout defense. Same thing kind of with your offense. But you get the cheese all the way down the lineup till you get to the SEC championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
A lot of things to work on, a lot of games to put under that quarterback's belt.
I think there's a lot of teams in the West that if they had that schedule, they would be 10-2,
But hey.
11-1.
End of the season, they got to go on the road and face Haynes King.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Poor
The man,
them.
the myth, the legend. I will
Them,
say,
Chase
ACP,
Oh my God.
ACP in Atlanta. We arrive at 4 that Saturday, and Georgia Tech plays at home against UNC, and so if that's a night game, I'm gonna try to get to see Haynes King in person at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I tweeted about this after their first game. I was like, dude, that offense just fits. Because it just fits for Haynes King. It's so quick. It's so short passes. He ain't out there sitting in the pocket throwing it deep with his ugly throw.
Throwing motion.
It's quick. It's handoffs. It's reads. It's it fits him. I like it. I like how how it operates.
Man, I hope it works for him.
So now that we've hold on. But yeah, I think SEC East is obviously the hardest to break down.
It was the West last week for me.
Yeah, now it was the East.
I still think it's the wild West.
It's really
though.
like the 2 through 6 spot. How are you gonna rank them? Because we
Yeah.
know the 1 and we know the 7. It's
Yeah.
just how are you gonna rank the middle?
But
for,
now
for the East, yeah.
yeah, now we get to now. I think my 7 for the West is pretty.
I feel like we're all gonna have
Yeah.
similar
That's
rankings
how it was.
for this.
Dude, have we been? We didn't.
No, we had one off.
Yeah, we
'Cause,
were one off last week, but every single
We
rankings
have
we've done,
been,
we've gotten the West
Our
perfect.
our
both of us
chakras
together.
our chakras have aligned in the West. It's weird.
Yeah,
I'm ready to hear
I
y'all's.
feel
'cause
like
I think
we
mine's gonna
might
be
have the
similar.
same.
All right, hold on. Let's try we did for number 1, but that was obvious. So let's say
For the number
West-
1?
we'll start 7 for the West.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Mississippi State.
Mississippi State.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so 6 and 5 though might be different, but I feel like it's the same 2.
Probably.
Just from what I'm hearing around. But
yeah,
go on.
I was higher on Mississippi State. I was wanting to believe.
I was too.
I like
dude.
it's their first year under a new coach.
It's that system does
New
not
OC.
fit Will Rogers.
No, it doesn't. And that's what happens. New playbooks are the death sentence for air raid quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And they talked about it during that game. They did the ESPN. I don't know who it is. They were on the sideline, Will Rogers said that come the offseason, he had to learn the new playbook, and it was honestly frustrating and challenging for him. Going from an air raid offense to a pro-style playbook, he's having to remember a lot more of the play calling, including lineman lineups. But he says he has begun to become more comfortable with it and fit into the scheme a lot better, and he is not. That was a bold lie.
Yeah. Well, no. So with the offensive line, you remember how Mississippi State's offensive line was always like 2 to 3 feet apart from each other.
Yeah.
They're like super spread out. That's weird. But we talked about. I remember the last time we were previewing Mississippi State and A&M, we were talking about the game, and we're talking about Will Rogers because I think he was leading the SEC in passing yards. Dude, Mike Leach, RIP, him, brought Will Rogers in and literally, I don't want to say brainwashed, but engraved that offense into his skull.
That's what air raid. That's what
Will,
air raid
Will
offense
Rogers,
all does.
but like with Mike Leach, with what
brainwash.
he was trying to do,
yeah.
Will Rogers was the only guy in the country who could do it.
I mean, that's
And
what
now-
happened with Gardner Minshew. That's what happened with that's just what the air raid. It is a like you'd think that a air raid quarterback would be able to just like they know how to pass. They know it's not. It's a different style of passing.
Mhm.
It is, and frankly, like they mentioned again,
only a few quarterbacks can do it. I think.
but frankly, it's an easier offense to run because you're passing. So like you don't have to remember. You just have to remember where the receivers are going.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be what are the offensive linemen doing? You don't have to worry about what they're doing. They're pass blocking.
Yeah, every time.
Like it's so yeah, going into a lot more of a difficult system. It's hard, and I don't think Will Rogers has adjusted very well, and I think it will be tough sledding here on out from the SEC. Again, really wanted to have faith, really wanted to have hope. My hope has died and diminished after that one. I mean, mind you, it's LSU.
Give them a year or two. I love that OC there. That's who, like, you remember when we were trying to figure out our OC before Petrino? I told you Kevin Barbe.
Okay.
That's who the
Yeah, I
that's who
remember.
their
I remember
OC.
you were. Yeah, you were.
I was high on him. Give them a couple years. I think they're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
But it's just I don't blame Will for being trash right now. I don't.
All right. Well then, let's say our 6. Let's do it again. We'll do 1, 2, 3 style again.
Oh.
1, 2, 3.
Arkansas.
Auburn. I got Auburn. You think
Yeah, I
Arkansas?
just think lose to BYU, find yourself in the 6th spot for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't. I went back and forth with those two because Auburn looked bad against Cal, but for me the deciding factor is just the fact that they're undefeated, and that BYU team is not good. I mean, they beat Sam Houston State 14-0.
Yeah.
Like they're not good. They're gonna get ran through in the Big 12, and
What did A&M beat Sam Houston State? What 21-0?
no, it was
24-0?
31 to
But we were
31 to
trashing your
0.
team,
Yeah.
so,
It was 31-0, but yeah. Yeah, that week 1 game was just like, okay, BYU, that wolf.
Yeah. I think them two are in a very similar
Yeah.
position, like
My-
skill rank wise.
So I assume then our 5th is Arkansas.
Arkansas,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
we'll
have Auburn
yeah.
there. Too.
Okay, so we'll kind of break down both. We'll start because you have Arkansas on your 6. My thing with Arkansas is they are not a complete team when Rocket Sanders is out.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And he's been out since the season opener, and he's even expected to be out against LSU too, which is way longer than like what the timetable was for him. So eventually, like if they keep losing, obviously I'm gonna have to bring him down there. But I'm really wanting to see how they do against SEC competition when Raheem Sanders is back, because I think KJ Jefferson, I think he's a really stud quarterback.
yeah,
Their defense has actually, truthfully, impressed me more than I expected.
yeah. No, they have a nice defense.
I expected them to be absolutely atrocious on defense because I mean,
They
They had
choked
a-
this week though.
yeah, this is true.
They don't have their star linebacker. Who is that dude? Boomer. I don't think they
Bumper
had
Pool.
Bumper
Bumper
Pool,
Pool.
and
Andrew
Drew
Sanders.
and Andrew Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the Arkansas's defense definitely impressed me. Arkansas. I don't know. The BYU loss
Very
was ugly.
interchangeable.
But you
Auburn
know what?
played
I
three
had
trash schools.
absolutely no idea. I completely forgot Keaton Slovis went to BYU.
Really? Oh yeah. I did
he's
know
their
about
start.
that.
Yeah, like I was watching that. I turned on the game. I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
what?" That's so man. Transfer
The
portal.
transfer
You gotta
portal
love it,
is
man.
crazy.
So much fun. But then in terms of Auburn, and of course we'll talk about Auburn.
Yeah, we're gonna
We'll
break down
definitely-
Auburn real good.
But I mean
a
Auburn. I mean Peyton Thorne's been okay, I guess. He's been all right.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely won't be anything you write home from war about.
Yeah.
I mean, they put in Robbie Ashford for the run packages. Cool. Defense has looked pretty solid. I mean, they just lost. His name's eluding me. I literally just read that.
Oh
article about
yeah. No, I just wrote that in my article. Shoot, I probably should have had my article pulled up. But yeah, they did lose one of their starting corners, and
Mhm.
then they could be out a safety who missed last week against Samford, and then someone else who would have been their starting corner to start the season, but he hasn't played to start the season. Sorry, I'm pulling these names up right now. So yeah, they're gonna be missing Keontae Scott, their starting corner.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the other injured players are safety Donovan Kaufman, who missed last week, and then the other corner is Nehemiah Pritchett. He hasn't played at all this season, but he could go this week, and that will be interesting to see. Either way, if he does, it's his first game. He's gonna be a little rusty.
Yeah.
But yeah,
There's-
we'll go into more of that.
Yeah, there's still a few
later
guys
on.
on a defense I want to talk about later, though, who's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
And then offensively, you have Hunter, of course, coming out of the backfield. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's really kind of, after Tank Bigsby leaves, kind of taking that workhorse.
He gave A&M trouble last year too.
Yeah,
Definitely
he's got some really quick, elusive speed.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like the offense really still needs a lot of work. I mean, 14 they got out yarded by Cal. No offense to Cal Berkeley, but I mean they're not exactly a powerhouse. I mean, I think Cal's probably gonna be better than what they have been, but it's better than 2-10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
No, they haven't been good since what, Goff? Jared Goff.
they weren't
was
even
there.
good with
They don't
Goff.
even think they were good when he was
Yeah.
there. So what, Rodgers?
Yeah.
All I know is they beat Tech in like a thriller, and that made me happy.
Yeah, I
with
remember
Jared
that.
Goff.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Auburn's still a lot of they just look meh. That's my Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how they do against an SEC.
Yeah, you
caliber
should have
school
a
this Saturday.
you should have a good read of them after this weekend.
Yeah.
All right.
Number
So then,
four.
Man, I'm
number
excited
4.
for this
Let's
one.
see our number 4.
can't wait to
I think
say
we
it.
all are kind of giggling about. it, so I
Oh,
think we all
man.
have-
Oh yeah.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Bama.
Roll
Alabama.
Tide.
Oh,
Roll
Holy
Tide,
cow,
let's
dude.
go, man.
Alabama number
Oh
4
my
in the
God.
West.
I want to.
You
put
gotta
them
love
lower.
it.
I want to put them low. I do because there's just so many problems over
South
Yeah.
Florida.
there. Like they don't.
Oh.
They have one quarterback who can't throw, one who can't read blitzes, and one who can't make the right pass. So like, who you gonna pick your poison? You know,
it's-
because like the whole quarterback, and then it's the first
This-
year they're running back. I don't know who he is.
This quarterback situation is worse than A&M's last year. Tell
Oh,
me
Yeah.
I'm
way
wrong.
worse.
Oh.
Like
Way worse.
which is crazy to me.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few guys I was excited to watch just as like a college football fan on their defensive side of the ball, but it's just hard to watch overall.
I mean,
just
Kate,
like,
Kate
Yeah,
and I,
that-
ta- Kate and I
that
talked
defense is
about it.
tough still.
Neither of us had any belief in Jalen Milroe. And
No.
it,
No.
And it shaped up exactly how I said. I said, like, I'm not going to give any verdict on Jalen Milroe until he plays Texas. Plays
Yeah.
Texas, looks like garbage. He's not a good quarterback. Gets benched for Buckner. Buckner doesn't look good. Ty Simpson looks fine. And then now Milroe starting again next week. This
is
is
Milroe going to be their starter next week?
Yes.
yeah, it's
Said
already
that.
so which tells me, man,
They don't know what they're doing.
they don't know. Which is
I don't think they
I
knew
don't-
before the season. They
I
were just
don't-
like,
I don't
shoot,
think I was
throw out the
cogn-
guy with the most SEC experience.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think I was cognitive or alive the last time Nick Saban has had a quarterback controversy.
Dude, yeah, I can't. I said it going into the year, like, I think Alabama's starting quarterback is going to be the worst since A&M joined the SEC.
It's going to be the worst maybe since like the first couple of years Nick Saban has been at Alabama.
I actually can't think of
Because
a worse
it's so funny
quarterback
when
room.
you think of a bad Alabama quarterback, you still are thinking of quarterbacks that probably took them to a national
Or
championship at
one,
one
like
point.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, like
Yeah, like I think Mac Jones out of Tua, Hurts, Mac Jones, and then name me a couple of like the past
AJ
few
McCarron.
years.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah,
past
like the
few
past
years,
few years, the one who won the national championship, I think was Mac Jones.
Did they
Blake,
win
Mac
the-
Jones?
Blake Sims was,
Blake Sims.
Yeah,
but I mean he took him to a 1 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I'm glad you brought up the whole like Milroe being trashed before the season. So I went back to my hometown when they played Texas. My whole family, all my friends, all Texas
Oh.
fans.
Jake Coker.
I was about to say
remember
his
him.
name.
I remember
I
him.
just didn't realize. I just didn't remember if he was a Bama quarterback. But yeah,
Mhm.
that name
No,
sounded familiar.
So I went back home and before the game, I let them. You know what? Congratulations, you went into Tuscaloosa, a tough environment, and won. You know, you beat still an SEC caliber team. Yeah. I kept saying it before the season. I said Texas is gonna win this game because Milroe cannot. He's not a good quarterback. He's not. He's not ready for this kind of competition yet. He cannot carry a team on his own and win. And after they won, Texas won, I wasn't shocked. I didn't say anything. But in my head the whole time, I was just like, you beat Jalen Milroe. You beat name their tell me their receiving core. Who Burton? There's not really.
I got a blank. Like I can't
Like
think.
off the top of your head, yeah.
I mean,
No.
that putrid A&M team last year almost went into Tuscaloosa and beat Jalen Milroe. That's really.
Yeah.
I mean,
With a
he needed
much
to show
talented
he needed to
receiving
show
core.
more improvement coming into this year, and he just hasn't.
Yeah, which, I mean, there was a lot more, like, Bryce Young comes in, immediately steps in, fills the role, and you're like, okay, whatever. He's a freshman, but not really.
Yeah.
Milroe
had
not a freshman, looks like one.
Talk about that defense last year, that the weapons last year that Milroe had.
Yeah.
And he still barely beat A&M because Jimbo Fisher wants to call a play that only works 0.00009% of the time, and you need freaking Tom Brady at quarterback and Randy Moss at receiver for it to be successful. He even said that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you look back at Bama's quarterbacks again, like a name that comes to mind because he wasn't in didn't win a Heisman or anything is Blake Sims, but Blake Sims threw for 30 touchdowns, rushed for 9 in his career at 3,000 yards passing. Like every Bama court, even Jake Coker, like he was like a whatever quarterback, but still took them and won the national championship. Like Bama quarterbacks, like if you are gonna be there, you're probably gonna be of a national championship caliber.
You have there's high expectations set for you, and Buckner, Milroe, all just
and this is the first time I've ever seen. Probably I think Bama's in a weird spot that they've never been, and it's gonna this may be a hot take. I think it's gonna freak them out because I think Bama has been so steadfast and strong that now they're showing a slip of vulnerability, and I think every SEC West team is going to want to absolutely jump and take advantage of that.
This is your to all the SEC teams out there. This is your year.
This is your
Pow it on.
This is your chance.
jump on them.
Hey, Roll Tide, be ready to roll down in the rankings.
Yeah,
man.
because
Hugh Freeze, you want to start off hot in Auburn? Go win that Iron Bowl.
Oh, dude, and they might. We'll see.
Wouldn't
But
surprise me.
hey, be grateful A&M fans because we recruited Jalen Milroe. We did. Thank God he's.
Yeah, I think this is the year that Bama looks really, 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 really vulnerable because this is the first year I think that anyone can say, "Oh, who's their starting quarterback?"
And
Okay.
everyone was hyping up that offensive line, average 350, just going to bulldoze over teams. They haven't looked a bit of impressive yet either. And yeah, number 4, I want to put them 5, but Arkansas sings and haven't seen anything on Auburn yet. But I can't wait to just drop them down, keep dropping them.
So I think we probably all have the same number 3.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Yep. I mean,
Really?
Yeah.
I felt bad putting them at number 3 because I felt like y'all were going to put them at LSU.
No, you can't put them above
Okay.
the other two teams.
All right, good.
No,
I'm glad y'all did, too.
There's no way.
We are unbiased on this
Come on now.
podcast.
Hey, I respect that.
They haven't even jumped above 3 at all throughout this.
Yeah, I think we had them 3 and 4 was our last.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were 4 for me last week.
No,
Yeah,
number 3.
Yeah, I mean, Conor Wegman has. It's been the first time for Aggie fans for a very long time to say, this is finally a starting quarterback.
Shit.
Finally, a quarterback that you can sit back, relax, and know that he's gonna do his spot.
But-
He's gonna do his job.
Then the defense is just.
Which week 1 it was the and then week 2 and then week 3 again, but you're playing ULM.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
I
can't
never
do
got to talk to y'all about. We can wait for a little while to talk about. I wanted to hear y'all's what y'all's recap was of that Miami game.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit on the football podcast.
Yeah, on their
Okay, we'll talk
A&M
about it
coverage
then
episode,
because I
but-
really want to hear y'all's opinion on that.
I think that if A&M, the reason A&M loses games this year is not going to be because of the offense, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Last year was the complete opposite.
Yeah,
But
it's crazy.
defensively, I think is going to be the issue. I think that secondary got absolutely just exposed against Miami. Bounced back against ULM again. Sleazy and Monroe, their quarterback came in passing for 69 yards on this entire season. They ran the ball. They stopped the run, which looked really good. But that defensive line has to create more pressure, which is why you can't put them above the other two schools, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of do all of that and a little bit more.
One thing I will give them, I know it was ULM. I know. But I thought the way Jacoby Matthews came in that game and performed was really good.
Yeah,
and that gave me a little bit
I mean,
of hope
off the
going
bat
forward.
too. I mean, first
Yeah.
pass.
And I think he's going to keep performing in that position because it looks like, I don't know if y'all saw Jordan Gilbert posted on Instagram. It looked like he was in the hospital performing
Yeah,
his
what was-
surgery.
I saw that.
think
What's that for?
I think he could be out for maybe the season.
Yeah, and that'll be
So I think Jacoby Matthews, which to be honest, even if Jordan was healthy, I'd still have Jacoby Matthews in that spot because he played his tail off against
Yeah.
ULM, and yeah, that
I
was
don't-
definitely a bright.
And I
bright-
know a lot of analysts and a lot of writers are big fans of PFFs. I'm not, but that's just personal reasons. However, Jacoby Matthews was ranked number 2 in the SEC and number 15 in the country out of defensive backs after last game.
There you go.
And that's I thought he performed very well, and that gave me a little bit of hope going down the line. However, there's a lot of receivers they're about to face in this SEC that could Malik Neighbors for one, and we'll get into that next.
Yeah, and so is that you?
Number 2,
LSU
LSU.
too?
Yeah,
I got Ole Miss in my 2.
I have LSU in my 2.
I have LSU. Ole Miss, Jackson Dart they look really good.
Yeah.
All around.
They
all
do.
around really good. I think as a more complete unit, I understand LSU lost to probably a team who's going to be in national championship this year in Florida State. Played against probably the best receiving corps in the country. But I don't know. I'm still thinking number 2 for them. LSU. I want to hear why you put Ole Miss.
I think I put them there is just because it goes back to that. What have you done for me? They beat a Tulane team without their starting quarterback by 10. They needed a long field goal from Caden Davis to prevent giving the ball back to Tulane for Tulane to take the lead going into halftime.
Yeah.
Once again, that's with Tulane missing their starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, they went and thrashed Georgia Tech this weekend, but it's Georgia Tech. I mean, I don't know. They still haven't done anything for me, and I think if LSU would have escaped by Mississippi State this week, Ole Miss would be in my 2.
Yeah.
Or Ole Miss would be in my 1.
Coaching wise, I would take Brian Kelly over Kiffin any day. I would take Brian Kelly over Kiffin any day. Look. But I don't know, man. Those are 2 very interchangeable spots. I got to see how this week rolls. Ole Miss is gonna thrash Bama. However, they should, and I think LSU would too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I think Bama is no longer like the qualifier for like how good a team is in the West.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I think Jackson Dart, Quinshon Judkins, Trey Harris. I think that Ole Miss offense looks really, really for real. And I think what we talked about in Ole Miss coming into the season was, can their defense, who was all right last year, be a little bit better? And I think they have been for the most part. And, haven't been like absolutely like, shutting them out like, lights out. But they've done enough for that offense to really get out there and exploit other opposing defenses. And LSU kind of the same way, but, did see LSU get absolutely moited in week 1.
Yeah.
So
it was kind of just like they started getting hot and Florida State started getting hot, and then there's nothing you can do from there. They're just going to keep on rolling. But I think talent-wise, I think LSU has a lot of talent over there. But, like, we'll talk about it later. I think my personal opinion, unbiased, A&M, LSU, and Ole Miss are interchangeable. And I'll explain why when we talk about Miami. And but yeah, number 1, I got Ole Miss.
Yeah, number 1, I have Ole Miss too.
And you got LSU.
Cade's got LSU.
LSU,
Our 1
number
2
1.
switch. But that wraps up our SEC power rankings for this week going into week 4. Once again, thanks Grant for coming back on the pod and talking this episode.
Appreciate y'all for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
We will catch y'all in the next episode.